But I remember all of those interactions, and I just want to pour in and give back, whenever I can.
Wow. I was thinking about when you talked about your business that you started and how it was doing very, 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 very well, right? And so what I love about your story is that you have this one thing that's doing well, that's, revenue or whatever, but then you said, but I volunteer for the 100 Black men, or 100, and so the fact that you didn't get so caught up in, well, this is working and this is paying, so let me focus on this, to still tap into, this is a service and I
Mhm.
owe it to whatever the service or the mission is to continue this relationship as a volunteer. That says a lot about who you are, because a lot of us take the money and we be gone and we're gone. We're
Mhm.
out of there, right? We don't think about volunteering and doing those other things because that's not paying me, right? So let me
Mhm.
do the things that's paying me because this is going to give me the lifestyle that I want to have or whatever. Talk about that a little bit for us on how you are able to know, you know, this is what I have to continue to serve, and this is how talk about that,
Mhm.
what that looks like for
Yeah.
you.
So if I were to just take a step back and we just go back to my first day on the college campus when I did not go to teach, remember I said I went to volunteer. So now I see clearly that there's a correlation in my life, has been a positive correlation. The more I volunteer or the more I give, the more I receive on the other end. I was going to just give, and now here's a career opportunity. Similarly, I feel like as much as I give to the 100, like you say, the business does well, but people see my work and now they're like, hey, I see what you're doing. Can you come do this for our company or for our group? And so to me, it's a correlation. But more than that, I'm very hard on myself because I I want to live what I say I believe in. And I know that it's important in the community. The thing that I dislike probably the most, someone who's a criminal justice professor and work in this space, is that a lot of people will get up and protest when things happen. And I get so frustrated because I'm like, no, you should live this life. And if more people just stayed the course, the protests are
Consistency.
fine and
Yeah.
they have a place. But if we just lived a certain way, a lot of these problems would be alleviated. And I
Absolutely.
have to stay true to myself and say, okay, it's Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. I could go out and party, I could do this, but there's work to be done. And so
Yeah.
I try to balance that with my wife and kids. And I'm probably not home as much as I possibly could be. But I remember being at home and very broke with my
Yeah,
wife and
and I'm
kids.
sure she does too. She's like,
and
go ahead, boo.
and so it's a balance, but I think there's a positive correlation between my service and financial reward.
Absolutely. B, can you hear us?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Connection.
we can.
Um, Service and correlation with financial reward. I had a phone call just the other day. A gentleman that he went through the same master's program that I did. He was a part-time student, and he called me, and he was saying how he wants to get active and start being paid to go out and speak. And I remember I've heard mention it. If you want to be a speaker, just speak. Don't worry about everything else. Just pour into. And I would
Mhm.
tell him, like, you just got to start doing it. And when you start doing it, the people are going to ask you, can you come here? What is your rate? So on and so forth. But at the end of the day, so many of us, when it comes to any area of affluence or of abundance, we see the result, but we don't see the process. So many
Mhm.
people want the result without going through the process. And I tell people in the speaking space, I had probably about 20 different speaking engagements that I didn't get paid one red cent for before I got my first paid engagement. So,
Mhm.
really being willing to go and do the work because you know you can bring about an impact, because you know you're going to bring value to whoever is in that audience. When you do that long enough, the money will come and get you. A lot of times in my training and my coaching, go into the concept of just sowing. Sow and sow and sow. Don't be looking over your shoulder for the harvest. Just sow and sow and sow. And coming from the athletics scope, if you're playing basketball, stop scoreboard watching. Just keep putting up the shots. Keep putting up the shots. And eventually you're going to take the lead. So I love that you mentioned that. It really speaks to your character. And I feel that, Sherelle mentions often that, I am the example. We have to be the example and stop just expecting people to see what we have done and shoot for that. No, let me show you the process. Let me tell you the struggles. Let me help you jump over some of these hurdles before you even know that they're there. Let me show you that they're there and how to most effectively get over them. All right, look like we may have lost him for a sec here. Oh, but just for the audience until he comes back in. There we go. All right. You hearing us all right, huh?
It's probably trying to buff a little bit.
Yeah. But I'll continue. I'm sure you can attest to that also, Sherelle, of having your doctorate. So many people see Dr. Hobson and, oh man, like it must be nice, doctor. They don't realize the struggles that it took to get there.
And the struggles it still takes. I think that's the important part. You tell people, and I'm still in it. They're like, "Why do you want to stay in?" You're telling me to continue to push through my dreams. You're telling me that there's still troubles and there's still trials. So that's the crazy conversation.
Yeah, and it's you continue in spite. Mm-hmm. Like there's been struggles that I've gone through. I got 3 degrees under my belt, 2 years of another. All these different recognition, multiple businesses that I'm running, and people will look at me, in the way that I currently live, and like, man, like, why don't you just move to Miami or move to New York or move to one of these big cities? Why are you still in Mississippi? Because there's work that still needs to be done here. There's a value that I still need to give here. I could easily up and move and go to where opportunity may jump on me quicker, but I understand that the process that I'm going through is not only for me. It's to show those around me this is part of it. This is part of becoming. Because just because you've become Dr. Hobson, you haven't become yet. Because right when you feel like I've become or I've made it, that's when you start going backwards. Mm-hmm. So just want to kind of add that in. So many people think, you know what, I'm only going to do this work once I see what that paycheck is going to be. Right. No, that's backwards. Do the work and the paycheck will catch up with you.
Absolutely. And Mr. Byrd, I know you can probably hear us now, but I always think about the scripture. We talked about how your gifts will make room for you. And that's what it's about. When you continue to operate in your gifts, then the people will come, the money will come, the resources will be there, and everything is starting aligning with your life and the purpose that you have. So that's how you know that you're walking in the purpose and plan that he has for you. Because, let me see. So, it's so important that we continue to serve. And so we talked about earlier, Brian, Mr. Byrd was talking about how, he didn't want to be a teacher, or he didn't want to be a professor. He didn't want to get into law enforcement. He didn't want to, everything that he said he didn't want to do, he ended up doing. But it was opportunities after opportunities. When one door opened, and it opened the door to another one, and to another one, and to another one, to where, a lot of times we talked about how, nobody was talking about law and justice and education and security all together. And so just knowing that, I don't have to just pick one or the other. I can do all these things and they can all align how they're supposed to align. So I really love the fact that, he is that he is continuing to operate in this space of, I don't have to just pick one. I can do them all, and they're going to all work for the purpose that I've put forth, which is giving back and educating our community on the law and stuff like that. So it was just so interesting to hear his story where he's a first generation, to come out of college, where mom and dad wasn't in college, brothers and sisters might have dropped out, so he was a product of his environment, but he not in a negative way. you know, he still had people in his life that still poured into him. And so it was amazing to hear his story, how even when things around him wasn't speaking, you know, education or being a lawyer and all those different things, he continued to stay to what he felt was his truth, was making a change. And so I just think it's so amazing to hear his journey on how, you know, he became what he's doing currently doing now. And so I know people, Brian, you have multiple titles as well, but people do put you in that box and say, well, are you a trainer or are you a teacher? Are you a teacher or are you a speaker? Are you a speaker or are you an author? Why I can't be all of it if that's what I'm good at? Why do I have to pick one thing? If God has given you multiple talents, why do I have to choose one when I can be a lawyer? I can be a speaker. I can be a professor. I can be a judge. Why can't I be all of them? Why do I have to pick one? So I think we do set the limitations on ourselves and allow other people to do that as well.
Yeah. And there's a saying, we've all heard it: you're a jack of all trades, but a master of none. That's not the end of that saying. A lot of people don't realize that that saying is longer than that, and it's something along the lines of a jack of all trades, but not the master of one is still better than, I forget the specific words, but the fact that you have value to give in more than one area makes you
Absolutely.
overall more valuable than only
Mhm.
being an expert in one area. Yes, you're an
Mhm.
expert, you're valuable in that area, but you can help so many more people when you're in an education space, plus the law space, plus you're doing social justice work, criminal justice, whatever type of justice. You know, and I can kind of relate to that. Whereas when I was going through my social work master's degree, I'm this social work student talking about business, sitting in class talking about putting together companies. People looking at me sideways. What are you talking about? That's are you in the right degree path? I'm like, yes, but I'm not doing it the way you're doing it. If you want to, you can go sit behind a desk and talk to clients every single day. I ain't hating on you, but I'm gonna put together a business to where I can hire people to come in and speak to clients, to where we can generate revenue to put together the service, so we don't have to write all these grants that get rejected because that entity of the government says we're not funding your programs. We're going to generate our own revenue. So I'm doing it a different route. And in staying true to that, I started to win over various different professors. I was recruited to Ole Miss. I had two different universities that were pulling me towards their PhD program because I was this weird social work student that wanted to develop social enterprises. So now, running multiple different companies, being able to speak, train, and coach people all over the world, I've got colleagues that I went to school with that were looking at me like, "Why are you so weird doing all this? Like, why?" Now they're asking me like, "You got a job? You hiring? I need to." Yeah, because they, and this is not to frown upon anyone that chooses a traditional route in a career field, but you got to go after what you want. You got to go after where you feel you can truly make an impact and not allow societal norms to sway you back into,
Yeah.
down a path that's already been beaten. No, go beat your own path. And it
Mhm.
seems like that's what Professor Byrd is over here doing, and I'm loving it.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just talking about Mr. Gold about how, you know, when you were like, well, I wasn't sure exactly what exactly I wanted to do at that time, right? And so I
Mhm.
was speaking about how um, people people in us sometimes tend to put ourselves in this box, right? Saying, okay, if you're a teacher, you should just stick to being a teacher. But when you're a teacher and you're talking about like how Brian is, I was talking about being a teacher, but then I was talking about running my own business and having my own school and doing my own. And so teachers was like, why? You know, so it's the same thing with you. How are you able to, say, I'm not gonna just be one, I'm gonna be all of them, and they all gonna work together. Speak about that journey and just how that conversation was trying to explain to people, because we tend to try to explain something to someone and they don't get it, but it's not meant for them to get, but you're still trying to get them to get it. Speak about that.
Yeah, I don't know who exactly said it, but there was a type of quote that basically went to the idea of when you devote yourself to a single subject, it opens itself up and connects to everything else in the world. It like teaching is connected to everything down to tennis shoes and ice trays. I mean, I don't know how, but it is. Everything on planet Earth is connected. And if you really get into your profession, it's connected to everything else. And so that's the way I see it. I see like everything I do is the same. I just have a passion for helping people. And I really have a passion for helping people with respect to education, law, policy, and social justice. And so that's all I do. And so if I'm in class and I'm teaching students about something and a place comes up to visit, I'm like, let's go. Like that will add more to the experience, the educational experience. So now we have Teach Us Justice because we're traveling. Now, because we're traveling and we've looked at different places, someone may want me to come talk or give a talk about that place or about what our experiences was, and there it goes. Or what is it about the application? How can you apply these concepts that you're learning in class to the criminal justice field, and more specifically to private security? And so that was the value there. I can bring practical experience from law enforcement, but also textbook and ideas about laws, policy, creating policy for companies. And so to me, it's all interconnected. And I just believe if you're going to do something, you should do your very best. And when you do your very best, you have to branch out. To be the best coach, to your point, you have to branch out and get to know the individuals. It's more about technique. It's more than just technique. You
Mm-hmm.
have to know the individual, what inspires them, what motivates them. And in order to learn that, you have to spend time, ask them questions. And so it's the same as when you do something, you want to do it really well. You
Yeah.
have to learn so much more about disciplines that aren't traditionally
Yeah.
in alignment with the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I created what I created on Winning with Why, because we all can win when we tap into exactly who we are and understanding our gifts that we operate in. It's not for us, right? It's not for us. But when I talked about creating the Black podcast, I'm in a space of education and athletics, here in the space of social work. But why can't it be connected? Why do we have to only connect with people that are doing exactly what we're doing? You're supposed to connect and branch out. And that's how we create change, is by staying connected. My branch leads to my openings, and then I meet people along the way, and then it opens up another branch. And next thing you know, we have a whole forest of trees of everybody operating in their space. And so that is just so amazing that you're doing that, because we don't connect enough in our community. Um, and one thing that we talked about, when you talk about policies and things like that, the biggest challenge I feel like we have in our Black community is consistency. We like you said, you go out, you protest, and then when things seem like it's died down, we go back to our regular lives, and then something else done popped off. We about to tear it
Mhm.
up again, and then so we're just not consistent. And because we're not consistent, people don't take our message seriously. They like, if it
Mhm.
was serious to them, then this would be part of their lifestyle and not just something that they're doing to be seen or shown or whatever it is. So we have to make sure that we stay true to who we are and stay consistent in what you're supposed to be doing. And so we thank
Mhm.
you for doing those things and operating in all your different spaces, but making sure that they all align with serving our community and educating us. So we thank you for that.
No doubt. I appreciate it and appreciate the opportunity. I read once that in ancient Egypt, the individuals who were ultimately made priests had to already devote 40 years of learning before they can actually go out and practice that work. And so when I learned that quote and looked at it, I'm like, wow, well, let me not expect to be where I want to be in 1 year or two, and so that really helped paint the picture. Like it's not an overnight thing. It's a lifetime thing. And my hope is that at the end of my lifetime, I will have arrived at and saving myself. And so that's it. It is a long-term commitment.
It's a lifetime commitment. Wow.
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that because there are so many people that in this world of instant this, instant that, they expect it to happen overnight. But if you're truly dedicated to it, you're going to embrace the struggle. You're going to embrace,
Mhm.
the downfalls. You're going to embrace the failures here and there, and realize that in the long run, everything that I went through, that I'm going through, I'm going to be able to use those to be able to impact lives so much more effectively. But you can't give up. You can't just be a fly by night advocate. You can't just come out of the hiding whenever something big happens, and then, like Sherelle mentioned, go back into your day to day. It's got to be your lifestyle. It's got to be your
Yeah.
lifestyle. We can go down so many rabbit holes on that notion, but like, be
Yeah. And
about it. Go ahead.
and I know we're wrapping up, but I think Sherelle said earlier, that it's not easy. And I just want to say it is very difficult. And a lot of people are like, well, how is it difficult? You live well, financially seem to be well. How is it difficult? It's difficult because there's not enough time in the day to get the work that you need or feel you need to get done each day. And so for me, every single day, I run out of time, meaning there was stuff I wanted to get done and I didn't have enough time to do it. And that's every day. There's like not a day when I'm not trying to like juggle around my schedule to fit all the pieces in. And so it's very difficult, but I've learned to, not run from it. And I think one of the motivational speakers said, you don't want things to get easier. You want to get more efficient. And so I just try to become better at managing, because when you fill your plate up in your space, it's not easy just to manage it. It's very hard. And it's very hard.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I was thinking
Man,
about what
I'm, I'm
happened
sorry.
there.
I'm sorry, Sherelle, but this brother feels me. People ask
Oh
me,
God.
"Are
Oh,
you
here we
finished?
go. Here we
Did you finish?"
go.
No, I'm not finished. I just decided, okay, I'm gonna stop for today,
Mhm.
and it just carries
Mhm.
on day after day after day. But when you learn how to embrace the fact that this is my lifestyle and I'm doing it for a better good, you're all right with it. I'll fall asleep plenty
Mhm.
of times, passed out, laptop still in my lap. Wake up
Mhm.
4 o'clock in the morning. Let me give me some rest, and then get back up at it a couple hours later. But when you're doing work that's impacting the masses and you love what you're doing, it's just another day for you. And I love
Mhm.
to feel that connection. And I definitely look forward to learning more, digging deeper into your work, staying in touch, and just kind of gleaning off of you, because it seems like you're really out there doing the thing, man. And I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just thinking about when I created, when I wrote my book, Seams of Gold, Discovering Beauty and Brokenness. It was based on a method, a Japanese method called kintsugi, where they would take the pottery and they would break it and they would take the broken pieces and start seaming it with gold, creating a masterpiece. And people would
Mhm.
spend so much money on what looked broken, but it was worth so much. And I just think about all the different pieces of your life, from your personal life to your financial, experiences, to just early family, to the environment. You took all these pieces of your life, your everything, and you started to seam it. When you start to seam about gold as being obedient and surrendering. And so it just created now this masterpiece that we have of someone who does it all in the spaces that the community needs. So there's nothing that you don't provide that we can say that we don't have enough of. We need to learn more about the justice system. We need more education on life and choices and things like that. We need to be in a space to see that there are Black men out here that can balance both, still be considered where they may say a millionaire or billionaire and still volunteer his services, still find time to give back, still make sure that he has a balance with his wife, with his kids. Those things are so important, and we have to see more Black men doing those things, because unfortunately we still have this stigma of Black men are not there, and Black men don't do this, and Black men, but they do, because I grew up with a mother and father, and my father is amazing. And so I never thought that had a negative outlook on Black men, because I had a father, I had a dad, I had a mentor, now I have a friend, so I had that Black man. But for those who don't, they have to see Black men like you who are saying you can be all these things. You don't have to put yourself in this box. And so I just really appreciate you seeming those pieces and keeping those pieces and being obedient and surrendering, so that now you can be such a value to the Black community. And so, and you still smiling about it. You like, I ain't even done yet. Y'all excited about this, but y'all ain't even seen what I'm about to pop next year. But that's
I think we all have this smile on our face, right? Because some people have asked me, they were like, well, what else do you want? You have a family, you have a house, you have a career, you have a couple of careers. What else do you want? I'm like, I've not even done, a tenth of what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I have dreams, and so it's like you dream so big to where it's like I'm not even close. I remember being a freshman in college, wanting to be where I am right now.
Wow.
Like, that's like I wanted to be where I am after college,
Wow.
like where I am right now in 4 years. And so it's like it's so much more I want to do, but it's I just want to be able to. I was just listening to you all. I want to be able to give back to the community so much more.
Yeah.
I know what I wanted and needed, and I think that if I'm to save myself and save more people who grew up in similar circumstances, I need a lot more resources.
Yeah.
And so I want more resources to give back at a greater level. And I feel like I've not got started.
I love it. I love it. The grind don't stop. I love it. We have to be like that. Like, if nobody else is going to go do it, you got to do it. You got to be, when we can all sit around and talk about it, but until we be about it, but it takes people like you to continue to walk in your purpose, because it gives us hope. So those who are in those situations can look and say, he made it happen. He's doing it. And it's not going to be easy, but the fact that you can that you're operating in the space that you're supposed to be in, there's they couldn't pay you enough anyways, because you can't put a price on your purpose. You can't put a price on things that you're passionate about. Prices are nice, but even if I give you the biggest number, it ain't gonna be enough. Because
And can I tell you something? I don't feel like I'm doing anything great. If I can be completely honest with you all, I don't feel like I'm doing anything special. I feel obligated. Like these guys need me, the community needs this done. Like, who else is going to pick up the paper on the side of the road? Like, how do people not want to do this? I just feel like I'm doing just the right thing. In no way do I think I'm doing anything special. I remember when I got to law school and I got made dean's list. I didn't make dean's list every semester. They said, you're not going to tell your mom, you're not going to tell you, call home. I said, well, what I'm supposed to make dean's list? I just haven't been doing it. So it's like, I just feel like certain stuff we're just supposed to do. Yeah. And it's just what you're supposed to do, but it's not, I don't think that it's anything special.
Wow. You're amazing. You're amazing. B, what you got for me?
Man, I just love the character because a lot of people, they want to pat themselves on the back. And, there's those of us that you would say, you're justified in doing so because you've accomplished something that nobody like you, nobody before you have accomplished. But when you look at it as an obligation, you're taking yourself out the equation. It's not about me. This is bigger than me. And when I focus on what I'm doing instead of who I'm or my accomplishments, then what I'm doing and who I'm impacting, they're going to receive the reward. They're going to receive the growth, however you want to look at it. And so many people would tell me, there's this young lady, she was a client of mine back in 2017, I believe, kind of helping her refine her coaching business. And about a year or so later, she saw me on Facebook doing a live, and she sent me a message afterwards, like, Brian, what are you doing? Like, why are you just giving away all this stuff for free? I charge X amount of dollars for that. It's bigger than me. Like, somebody is going to find a way to pay me for this and more by me giving this. So go out and give and give and give. What's meant for you will come back to you. And at the end of the day, as I mentioned earlier, just don't scoreboard watch. Don't scoreboard watch. And eventually you done blew up the scoreboard. You got records being set left and right, but you just out here doing what you feel you were called to do. And
Yeah,
that's what I'm seeing in you. And I got to stay connected because we don't find enough of us out here with that type of mindset, the type of mentality. If you ain't paying me X number, so on and so forth, I ain't trying to hear it. No, like what needs to be done? I got it. You need help over here? I got it. And eventually, what's meant for you will come and get you. And I see that all inside of you, brother.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that for sure. For sure.
Well, tell us where, let everybody know where they can find you. And then if you have any events or anything that we need to support coming up, let us know then as well, and then we'll close out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm definitely on Facebook, Teach Us Justice. I'm on Facebook, Teach Us Justice. The security company is Art Protection Group, www.hpg.global. I serve as program chair and professor at American Intercontinental University, AIU Atlanta, and and then finally with the 100 Black Men of Atlanta, I am the chair of the Anti-Gun Violence Committee, and so we meet every second Thursday at Flipper Temple AME off of Student Movement Boulevard, there in Atlanta, Georgia, where the Reverend Pastor Timothy Eason is a pastor. And so we meet there on the second Thursdays of each month. We will be launching an anti-gun violence programming, volunteering through mentoring grant funded by Georgia Power over at Ivy Prep Academy on tomorrow afternoon. And that'll be great. We're already doing a lot of work at Best Academy, but our anti-gun violence committee is one of the only committees, one of the few of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta that's open to all members of the public. So if you want to serve, you want to get involved and help reduce incidents of gun violence here in Atlanta, you can reach out to me. My email is, you can get me at Teach Us Justice on Facebook, but also my email is my name, joshua.e.byrd@gmail.com. So you can email me, get involved. We're looking for more folks to get involved, and we're doing a lot of great stuff. So I appreciate this opportunity, and I appreciate the work that both of you are doing, because y'all are both inspirations to me. One day I'll have a podcast that at least I can be on regularly, whether it's with yours or somebody else, to sort of get out our message and our work and our words.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we appreciate you. And so continue to do what you're doing because you're doing it well. And I also agree with you. I don't even believe that you have touched the surface of what God is about to do in your life. And so we are just excited to now be family and be a part of this journey and watch you continue to grow, and that we all continue to be that branch and make sure that we pour out and use each other's gifts and talents so that we can continue to create this change that we all desire. So thank you for operating in your space of education, of law, of justice, of security, and all the other things, being a father, being a husband. Thank you for being all of those things, because we definitely need more men like you telling the story. So thank you.
Thank you all for having me.
Yes, sir.
Um,
So we'll put you backstage real quick. Don't leave us though. We're gonna close out the show. Then we're gonna come back and close out with you.
Sure.
Thank you. All right. What a blessing just to hear his story and all that he has going on. What are you doing, bro? Oh, so I'm just so glad to have him on and just hear his story and his journey. It's been truly amazing. And so we have to make sure that we do better, right? We talked about, if we want to see change, we got to be consistent. Like, be consistent in what we believe. There's people out there that are volunteering, and there's organizations out there that can use you. You have to research, right? So if you want to do better, there's people out there that are in the education space and justice space. They'll teach you about your rights and knowing, all the resources that you think you need, they are out there. You just have to research them. You have to go out there and meet other people, find out what their gifts and talents are, and how you guys can create something for change. And so I'm just so excited that and grateful that he surrendered and was obedient to the calling that he had in all the spaces that he was in. He didn't just say, okay, well, let me stick with being a professor. I make pretty decent money doing that. Or let me just stick to this because this is going on. This is okay for me. It's not that stressful. But he continued to pour into everything that he was doing, whether it was in education, whether it was in justice and law, whether it was in just volunteering your services and mentoring, whatever he was doing, he was making sure that he operated in excellence. And so I'm just so grateful that he accepted the invite to be on the Black Podcast.
Yeah, I hate that I missed so much of the session today in these streets, but I look forward to going back listening to the beginning, and also reaching out to Byrd himself directly. But off of that note, guys, we should be getting things back rolling on a more consistent schedule here over the next moving into the next week or so. A lot's going on, a whole lot going on, but we're gonna be here. We are going to be here. It's been this is March, April, May, June. We're probably about a year and a little over a year and a half now. Goodness gracious, like time flies, boy.
I know it started out being an idea, and he was like, "All right, let's just try it." Now you stuck with me.
Yep, it's a regular now. But as we allude to on a regular basis, this is just the beginning. There's so much that we have in store, and we're accumulating the partnerships, accumulating all the potentially collaborative partners to go out and reach the masses. So off of that note, thank you guys for jumping in. Be sure to check us out. We are hsba.com. Also, you can check us out on Instagram at we.r.hsba. Yeah, we're doing work, guys. We're doing work. It's not always easy. It's not always as fluid as we would want, but this is part of our lifestyle. This is not something we just say, hey, let's try this out. No, this is a part of our lifestyle. We are pieces of one another's puzzle, and we're going to come together to make the picture that we desire to bring to the world. So I'm off of that note. That's it for today. You guys go out and have a wonderful remainder of your week. Here I am feeling like it's Thursday. So have a wonderful remainder of your week, and we'll see you guys the next time. Take care.
We love you and continue to support us, and make sure you follow our guest and find out how you can help contribute to his organizations as well.